Today's episode of the Ringer NBA Show on the Ringer Podcast Network is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Once upon a time, I put in an ad on ZipRecruiter for a podcast producer, and nephew Kyle answered. We were related. It was a miracle. I don't know how it happened. 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within a day. They're the best at distributing your jobs to the best boards, identifying the right people, inviting them to apply. My listeners can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/BS. We're also brought to you by State Farm. A State Farm agent has the knowledge and the experience to anticipate your needs and create clones for Chris Paul. And with State Farm, you get more than just an agent. You get a teammate that gets what matters most to you. Like how Jason Concepcion and Porzingis get each other.
Oh, my God. We do.
Go to statefarm.com to get an agent that gets you. Some Ringer plugs. The Ringer MLB show is back. I made an appearance on that this week. I also went on House of Carbs. House that made some people angry. I don't feel bad either. We ranked the 16 best playoff cities from 16 to 1 by where we wanted to eat in the finals.
Should we spoil any?
No, we did it already. In Cleveland, we had Cleveland 16th, and then apparently there's this whole sneaky Cleveland food scene that we should have known about. Did you guys know about this?
No.
Jason?
Cleveland
you know
has a food scene?
There's a food scene in Cleveland, apparently.
Well,
sauerkraut?
people there do need to eat food.
Presumably.
That's a whole food scene. Who knew? But anyway, listen to that podcast. We did a lot of belly sourcing. There's going to be a follow-up podcast next week with the one and only Danny Chow, and that's happening.
Ooh.
TheRinger.com. KOC wrote about James Harden. Haley right now is writing something. She's joining us later. Justin Verrier is here. Jason Concepcion is here. Kevin O'Connor, KOC is here. Nephew Kyle producing. It is Wednesday night, 8:43 Pacific Coast time. We have the Jazz Portland game and two terrible whatever the other two terrible NBA games are. And we're going to do this podcast as this unfolds. We know all the playoff matchups. We don't know all the seeds yet. And we had an incredible preview of what the Entertaining as Hell tournament would look like tonight. We're going to talk about all that and more. But first, here's a weird song that Isaac made.
Basketball is very good. The Raptors are the best team in the East. Phil Jackson actually saved the Knicks. Markelle Fultz will be an all-star next year. Basketball is very good.
Ice! What is the song?
Shout out to Ice.
Icy!
We love Ice. Yeah, we'll know. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, my name is Bill Simmons, hosting the Ringer NBA show for Chris Ryan, who mysteriously went to Philly. I don't know what's happening. The Sixers started winning and Chris Ryan just left. I don't even know if he told us he was taking vacation.
Philly sports guy. It's happening.
He really is.
Yeah.
I feel like are you worried at all, Jason? You're neutral. You're from New York. You don't like Boston or Philly. Are you worried about the Philly takeover that's happening in the Ringer right now?
I am not. Well, it's been a long time down for them. I'm happy for them. I love Ben Simmons. I love watching him play. So I'm not that distressed about it. Boston is the one that concerns me always.
You don't have to worry about them this year.
Soon.
Ben Simmons is inching toward a unanimous approval rating, which is happens very rarely with the NBA. I think Anthony Davis has one right now. Mm-hmm. I think Ben Simmons has one. Does anybody else have a unanimous approval rating in the NBA?
Giannis is pretty high.
Yeah.
Giannis is high. All right, so there's three.
That's about it for star players.
Andre Ingram?
It's kind of hard to root against
He
the
might
guy
be the
who's
fourth.
10 years in the G League.
It's so hard to find. And Ben Simmons, he's got, he's not perfect. He has flaws. He's definitely an unpolished gem, but everybody's just into it. I fucking love watching him.
Well, he's also at that stage where it's like there aren't really expectations yet. Nobody's really turned against him. Because
they're starting now.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're taping this Wednesday night. Everybody ducked the Sixers tonight.
Yeah, and
this was duck the Sixers day.
I think it helps that his biggest adversary just flubbed his one attack on him. Donovan Mitchell, my guy, just ruining, not getting the correct definition of rookie. And if you're going to come at the king, you best to hit.
It was a sad and yet another tragic day for Louisville.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Haley's got her headphones on.
She doesn't have a mic right now.
No, she's got her headphones on. Sorry. Yeah. Tough stretch for Louisville, and this was just the latest.
Mitchell trying very hard to convince everyone that he actually doesn't care, but he had two articles of clothing printed up about how he's a rookie and therefore
Right.
eligible for Rookie of the Year.
There are rookie bonus salaries for these guys at stake, so you can understand why both of them might want to win it, though.
It's like when nephew Kyle says he doesn't care about his new girlfriend, but they FaceTime for like 3 hours a day. It's your girlfriend. If you're FaceTime for that long, nephew, you're dating.
Kyle
Sorry,
slumped
Kyle.
over in
We
his
killed
chair.
Kyle. He's dead.
Hey, Kyle's
Kyle's
dead.
All right, we're going to talk playoff matchups. We know what the East are, so we might as well talk about those first.
Yeah.
I was stunned today that everybody ducked Philly, and somehow it worked out terribly for Philly. Everybody's trying not to play them, and they end up playing Miami. That's the 3-6. I got to be honest. I need to look at this some more. I want to study it. This is my gut reaction. I think that's a bad matchup for them. I think they'll win. I think they should be favored. But I don't want to play the really well-coached team with weird players and weird heat check guys and a point guard, Dragic. They don't really have anyone on the roster to guard. A center that could be thrown against Embiid if he comes back at some point during the series. And a really smart coach who could be like, oh, I'll do this against Ben Simmons. I'll do that. And I don't know. It's going to be tougher than I would have rather played Milwaukee. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question with the Sixers, I think, is just the whole experience factor. I mean,
Yes, yeah.
I would have maybe even picked them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even the finals if I could trust some of the younger guys, including Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, some of these guys that we really don't know what they're going to do on this stage. But on the other end of their first round series, you have a well-oiled machine in Miami. Like, this is the worst possible matchup for them in the first
And
round.
Dwayne Wade finally in shape. Congratulations to him. He's a professional athlete getting paid. It's like, wow, I'm in good shape now. I read a piece, I think it was for SB Nation, but it was about how when he showed up at the Heat, he had the worst body fat on the team. And then
tough luck.
now he's in the middle of the pack.
They're in the
What
playoff.
happens in Cleveland?
It's the food scene.
It's the
LeBron's
food, that
in incredible
incredible
shape, and nobody else. Yeah, that's
It's
what
that
it is.
incredible
Good
food scene.
It's a
LeBron's in
sauerkraut.
amazing shape, and everybody else is out of shape. I don't get it. KOC, what do you think about that Miami Philly matchup?
Miami's another one of those teams that can play different ways, right?
Yes.
They can play big, and Joel Embiid may be back. We don't know yet. If wearing the mask this week, we'll see. So Miami can beat them with size, with Whiteside, or they can play smaller with Justice Winslow at the 5 and James Johnson. So anytime there's a team that can play different styles or make you play a certain way, it's going to be tough on you. And as you said, Bill, Miami has a lot of those weird players where they can do different things.
They have
And then
guys who
Eric
win a
Spoelstra.
playoff game.
Yep.
It's like, oh shit, Kelly Olynyk had 33 points today.
James Johnson has had big games before as well.
Yeah.
Guys just go off.
They have a culture. They have experience. Spo is a very, very, very good coach. Everybody knows what they have to do. And yeah, the Sixers are unblooded. I
The crowd will be half full in Miami.
think the
going
season
nuts.
series was 3-2 Philly. But yeah, that's going to be a juicy series. And, you know, Whiteside wants to get after it with Joel Embiid.
For sure.
So
Yeah,
that's going to be
that's a
really
good feud.
fun.
We better get that.
Yeah.
Embiid's got to be back for game 1, just for the entertainment factor. We need Embiid versus Whiteside for 5, 6, 7 games at least.
Well, what's holding him back at this point? He got a concussion, right? And he had
He's
a
cleared. for that.
fractured orbital bone.
Yep, fractured his face basically, and
Right.
the mask he's wearing is intense. Yeah, so it didn't seem like
I
it was
love
just
the
a
mask.
little thing. Yeah, it's pretty
But-
much his
and-
entire face.
FYI, nobody's ever enjoyed playing with a mask.
Well,
Like Kyrie
wow.
would take it off like between free throws and stuff.
Except
He
for Rip
hated that
Hamilton.
thing.
Rip
He's like
Hamilton.
the only guy that enjoyed it.
Well,
Nick,
Rip
let me
Hamilton's
just-
a weirdo.
Let me just say that there is like Rip Hamilton wearing the mask after his face was fine for years after his face was
Was
healed.
weird.
Is one of the most underrated NBA stories or sports stories ever. It's
Underrated
one of the
weird.
weirdest. It's weird. Why did he do this?
It would be like if we had a baseball player who was wearing the Little League helmet with the full metal mask. What are you doing? Professional athlete. Yeah, he just got super comfortable with it. I want to go back. I'll probably go watch the League Pass where they have you can go watch the replays of the games. I want to see some of the crunch times with Philly and Miami and see
Yeah.
what happened back and forth, things like that. I just like Miami. I didn't want the Celtics to play them either. I don't think they're a great team, but I do think they're a team that could be good in the playoffs. I go back and forth on Philly because I think there's also a path where they might be the 86 Rockets and they might be the 77 Blazers and they might be the 2012 Thunder and these teams that, although that team had a couple playoff reps at least, but we've seen young teams before just come into the playoffs and everybody's like, no, they're too young. They're not ready yet. And all of a sudden they're in the finals and we're all looking around wondering what they'll happen. They have 2 of the best 15 guys in the league. They have a bench. They have veterans. They have people people that we trust, they have an unbelievable home crowd. I would say that
One
might
of the
be
best.
Yeah.
with MSG not in the playoffs this year, and with the Celtics probably a little toothless with not having their two best players. Philly and Portland will have the two best crowds in the playoffs. I think.
OKC perhaps as
Yeah.
well.
I don't count the OKC crowd. All they do is scream at the top of their lungs before. They give everybody like a migraine. Just like, like you go, everybody's just disoriented by the third quarter.
What's going to be interesting for Philly is Miami has a handful of guys that can comfortably at least contain Ben Simmons or try to.
Yes.
Justice Winslow, James Johnson on a switch. Maybe it's Josh Richardson. They have a handful of guys on their team. Even someone like Bam Adebayo can at least switch onto forwards. So
Yeah.
The Bamster.
Ben Simmons is really going to have to prove how great we all think he is.
And they have-
certainly a top 15 to 20 guy. This
Well,
is
and by the way,
series for
shot
him.
blocking too.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this with Philly without Embiid. When LeBron decided he wanted to bring Cleveland back in the game, when he decided to start trying,
Yeah.
he was just going to the rim all the time because Philly had no shot blockers. And Embiid, I think he averaged 30 minutes a game during the season. But in the playoffs, they probably have to ramp that up to 40, and he's
Yeah.
going to have to be able to do that every other night. I need to see that. I need to see what happens when a playoff game slows down and Simmons
Yes.
is wide open by 6 feet from 16 feet, and the team is just begging him to take it. What does he do?
We've been waiting all season to see if that's going to hurt him in close games. It hasn't really.
Early in the season.
Early in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
season, it has.
yeah.
But he's been able to. He's got that thing where even if you back off, when teams back off of him, he's just able to create momentum going to the basket where he can
runway
drive and
for
kick,
him.
or he can make a layup, or he can just make something happen. Even if though everyone knows he doesn't want to shoot. It'll be interesting to see when one team can just game plan for him game after game, and especially Spo's a really good coach, and they have size, and they have a lot of. You said they have a lot of roster flexibility. It'll be interesting to see.
That's like almost the focus of the thing I'm writing about on Friday, where it's like Ben Simmons.
You just ruined KOC's piece.
Sorry,
What
man.
the fuck, Jason?
It's like he's already one of the best 15, 20 guys in the league. I think there's at least a consensus probably he's a top 25, 30 guy. But to do it in the playoffs when teams are going to be game planning for him, that's going to show either how far he has to go to reach the next level or how much closer that he already is than we might actually think right now.
So here's my counter, because I keep thinking about how's this going to translate to the playoffs. I haven't seen a rookie kind of have more confidence slash arrogance in a good way than he has. You'd have to go back to, I remember Wade, his first year when Wade, it was a pretty fun Miami team with Lamar Odom before they traded for Shaq. And Wade was really feeling himself, and late at tail end of the regular season playoffs, like, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? That's how I feel when I watch Simmons. Like when he stared down LeBron on that dunk, I was like,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like he's not doing this to be like this shit stirring punk. He's like, I'm taking your place in the league. Like,
It was great.
that's there. It was awesome.
He's always played like he's assumed that he's going to be great.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's like, I'm the next one. I'm looking at you. I'm taking your spot.
There is no learning curve. He just showed up on the scene and he instantly had this just air of confidence that was LeBron-esque, quite frankly.
Even before the season, when in the NBA.com rookie survey, the rookies didn't vote him as the best rookie from this class. And Ben Simmons was asked about that at Media Day. And he's like, oh, I didn't see it. I'm not concerned with that. I'm just concerned with the guys at the top. Even before the season, he had that mindset.
Think about that. And Embiid obviously is the best irrational confidence center we've probably ever had.
There's
he
so many
thinks he's like Will
storylines.
Chamberlain.
It's fantastic.
They're not going to be afraid of anyone.
I'm a little shocked. I'm still a little bit shocked about Ben, just because, at LSU, there were games where he looked not engaged.
Yeah.
And
That was the big thing. Remember, does he have a fire? Does he care?
That has not been the case,
Nah.
in the NBA. That Cleveland game, the first quarter, he went through the legs the other way, catching it, look away passes. He was just doing playground stuff
Unbelievable.
out there. I was kind of shocked that nobody on Cleveland was taking a hard
him?
foul against
Yeah.
this guy.
And at LSU, he didn't care on defense. And
Yeah.
last summer, I think it was when the Sixers training camp first started, Brett Brown is like, I think Ben Simmons can be one of the best defenders in the game, 5-tool defender. And it's like, well, yeah, theoretically, if he cares. And he cares a ton.
I think it's really special how he's always going downhill, almost
Yeah,
like
it
a
really
running
is.
back.
Yep.
It's like you see Ezekiel Elliott when he was a rookie and he came to Dallas, and it was just like he was just going forward all the time.
Yep.
And Simmons, even though the other team knows can't shoot,
That's why
he's
I'm
still going forward.
I'm just curious how they're going to guard him, because we talk about rational confidence
Yep.
guys. I mean, the Heat have Whiteside, who's just irrational.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if he's going to get in foul trouble, one, against Embiid, and if that might be to the Heat's benefit. If they could just be kind of a switchy Swiss Army knife kind of lineup, 1 through 5, if they could just, maybe that's to their benefit to be able to guard a guy like Simmons, being able to switch everything.
I worry about the young team getting all the smoke blown up their ass. There's been, I'm not even talking about the finals. I'm just talking about round 1. We've seen teams completely shit the bed in this scenario. It's like, oh yeah, remember like OKC, the first time Durant, Westbrook, that whole crew, and they played the Lakers, and people started talking themselves into they could beat the Lakers, and they lost in 5. Portland had a year with like Brandon Roy. I remember it was like, Portland, here they come. Who knows? And then they blew it. But we'll see. I think easily the most fascinating matchup in round 1 for the East. Toronto-Washington is also in play. Washington, this has but the potential to be fascinating, or this could end up being like an episode of The Challenge where everybody takes John Wall's luggage and throws it over the banister.
The Wizards
and just wants them to move out of the house. I don't know what's going to happen.
They should wear funeral black to game 1
for John Wall,
just for their own, just for the team.
For the John Wall era.
Yeah, I don't believe in either of these teams. If they were playing anybody else, I would pick against them, just because of the track record.
It's so weird how Toronto, they finally sucked me in, and then all of a sudden I'm out again. That whole stretch when they lost all those games and they blew the Cleveland game, and it was like, oh yeah, I forgot you have nobody to guard LeBron, and he's going to beat you if you meet in a series. Oh yeah.
The defense fell off, and I wonder with Washington. I mean, they're in total disarray right now.
Yeah.
But maybe with 2 days off before the playoffs, maybe they get it fixed. Who knows? Because they certainly have talent.
Jason, what would you do to bring Bradley Beal and John Wall closer? If you were their relationship coach, what would happen?
I'd get them to live in a house together.
Oh, get them to move in for the playoffs.
They'd have to move in together.
I like that. Like a hotel suite or
I'd
like an actual house?
No, an actual house to make a chore wheel where they actually, like one guy has to wash the dishes, the other guy has to dry them. And then, just have them do stuff together, do activities together, maybe play video games together.
Laundry.
Kyle,
Pretty good answer.
Kyle, is your mic on?
No.
You said no. I was thinking like last week in Augusta, I feel like I'm closer to Kyle now because, we went grocery shopping, we drove around, we got fast food. Maybe that's what John Wall and Bradley Beal need to do.
Could that work against them, though?
It might. If only Scott Brooks.
each other.
If only Scott Brooks had some kind of experience coaching 2 strong-willed players. And he could bring that experience to bear somehow.
But those guys liked each other. Those guys hung out.
And it still wouldn't solve the issue that Gortat is going to be talking about them in public.
The Gortat stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
Has he done it lately? Did I miss it?
He just talked to the media the other day.
Yeah.
It was basically
You see
calling
this
them
quote?
out. Yeah, it was impressive. He was able to say this in public.
Are you aware of this? What he said?
I
Let me
must
pull
have
up the
been.
quote.
What day was it? I must have missed it. I
let me
must have
pull
been
up
in
this
Augusta
quote.
or something.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable.
Well, I do think there's a feeling, right? That the underbelly of the league scuttlebutt has been like, Wall got paid and he doesn't care about what his teammates think of him, and that's it.
Yeah, and they played.
It does kind of feel that way.
I mean, they played really well with Satoransky in there, and a lot of it just comes down to their resource management. I mean, if you can get some facsimile of what Wall brings to the table, the ball movement, some of the defense, you really don't need him on the court because you have such stronger offensive players there. I mean, Porter's taking a step forward, Oubre comes and goes, but a lot of these guys, as a small ball lineup, it just works on the court.
Is John Wall, is this contract tradable?
Oof.
No.
Oof.
No, right?
No. I mean, he's going to
John
make
Wall
like
for Blake
45
Griffin,
million.
who
and
says no?
See, that's the problem, though. Blake Griffin just got traded.
Probably, I think Washington says no to that. Yeah.
Blake Griffin's last 4 years of games played.
Oh, man.
It's dark. I'm gonna look it up. Jason, make a point while I look this up.
About the Wizards?
Just you have the floor.
I mean, I just think it is remarkable to watch a team come apart like this in such public fashion over just basically dudes not liking each other. This is very old school in a lot of ways.
Do you think
This
the
is not
internet
something
makes
that
it worse though?
Oh, yeah.
Because the internet's capturing every GIF, every quote, every Twitter the condensed quote gets sent out.
Every stat, something like John Wall moving the least of any player in the league. If you're a player on the team,
Is that a stat?
Yeah.
I
That's what
also
it's
just
at,
think like Gortat being so vocal it's telling because, Wall is a star on the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that Gortat's like not afraid of being traded, not afraid of like being frozen out, not afraid of losing playing time. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to talk about the star on the team, about how he's selfish.
And that's kind of what the quote wasn't even necessarily about John Wall.
Right.
It was a general statement about you never know what we're going to get, what you're going to get from this team. When he's like being on great defensive teams, it's about character, helping each other. He's like, I need to help the perimeter guys. The perimeter guys need to help me. And it's kind of like,
Jesus.
yeah. I mean, he's saying that there's cracks.
Well, when Wall was out, he was tweeting like great team win with like team in all caps. It was like, come on.
Yep.
Is John Wall a dick?
According to JJ Barea.
There's some evidence that points in that direction. And the biggest disappointment is just like you look at the East right now, it's completely wide open, and they
this is their
have
time.
as much top level talent as some of the other teams that we're expecting to be there in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
I just want the season to be over if I'm a Wizards fan. Just reset the season, rebuild this roster, reshuffle it.
It's just always
come back.
something with them. It's like they have a great starting lineup for years. Just need that bench. Now they kind of have developed those players.
Oubre's better, Porter's better.
And it's all of a sudden, it's like now that the starters just don't like each other.
Jesus. Blake Griffin, since 2015, games played 67, 35, 61, 58.
Yeah.
That's rough.
It's very rough.
That is not.
He loves it in Detroit, though.
Yeah,
Definitely. 100% doesn't know this. Is KSC make the case for Washington beating Toronto in round one?
John Wall has one of those series like he did last year where he just goes off. He's able to get into his transition offense and score at will. Really speeds up that offense. Because we've talked a lot about how the everybody eats Wizards was nice. Maybe they take some of those elements with these 2 days off, with the ball movement, attacking closeouts.
It's a miraculous 2 days off here, man.
Unbelievable.
Really stretching these 48 hours.
And maybe it's a little bit of a blend of that with that great John Wall we have seen in the past, and it just works. Maybe Toronto doesn't have the defensive players to contain them in half-court situations.
Can I
maybe
throw
Otto Porter gets hot.
Can I throw a better scenario at you? Because now that the regular season is over, as we know, the underrated secret of the NBA is they don't drug test. They don't drug test during the playoffs. Throw your urine away. It's fine. Maybe this team just needs to go get high together somewhere. Like just get like the Mike Tyson medical pot.
A couple
and
edibles.
just get like baked out of their mind on Thursday night and watch, I don't know, girls trip.
Yeah.
Going to
Just get
Canada.
together.
Has
Get
everybody
together
seen
somebody's
Westworld?
house.
Let's get Westworld season one going.
binge watch
Westworld
it.
is unbelievable.
Maybe
Great
binge watch
show.
Barry on HBO.
Barry, very funny show.
Whatever. Funny when you're
Take a walk in the woods.
Yeah. Just go take a little walk in the mountain and just toke up. Sounds like this team needs it.
Scott Brooks,
This team
get
needs to
it
get
us if you need it.
You definitely got to connect.
Scott Brooks, feel free to take that advice. Toronto also has a lot of guys that, speaking of guys that haven't been in this situation before, guys they count on. Van Vliet.
Uh-oh.
Anunoby.
Do you know the status of him?
Pascal Siakam. I always think of Coach Tyler when I hear his name now.
Siakam.
Pirtle.
Pirtle as well.
So 4 of their top 8 have never been in a playoff
We just
series.
named 3 guys you don't really need to defend a lot on the perimeter on the offensive end. Siakam, not scared of him. Anunoby, he shoots a good percentage from 3, but I'm not sure teams are worried about him. And then Pirtle, solid player, but not space on the floor.
Valanciunas, another guy like comes and
He
goes.
can shoot a little bit.
He's been better this year,
better,
for sure. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like the Wizards, if you look on paper and talent alone, they should be able to win this series. And that's why I've, again, for the 4th straight year, said the same thing about the Toronto Raptors. A lot of what they're getting nowadays is from their bench, and that they're so deep, and it all works within Casey's system. But a lot of those guys, how many minutes are they going to be playing in the playoffs? How much are we even going to see of Fred VanVleet, which is very tough to say.
And if they go 3 guard, which they do like to go 3 guard down the stretch, that's actually pretty good for the Wizards. And if they want to get smaller, that's also pretty good for the Wizards. Hey, on paper, you're right. They're probably as talented, but they're not a team that needs to get high tomorrow night,
Right.
and figure stuff
There's
out.
there's no
Haley, are you
universe
ready?
where-
Yeah.
You want to pull your mic close?
I'm sorry.
Oh my
Get
God.
your mic. You
Oh,
had
I
to
think it's
talk
off.
it.
I thought you turned it off.
No. We were waiting for you. We thought
Okay,
after we
sorry.
made the Louisville jokes that.
I know that you were just
Yes,
out.
well, I was out. I was also took the opportunity to eat a piece of pizza.
All right, going backwards. Do you care about Philly, Miami?
Yeah, it'll be the most fun.
I mean, as like
in
a
the
competitive
East.
series, like that, you believe Miami has a chance?
Miami might make it fun.
That's a great travel series.
Oh yeah,
If you're the beat writer for that series, that's like a huge win. Philly
that's
versus
also
Miami.
underrated X factor for a young Sixers team to spend that much time in Miami.
Oh, I
I
like where
didn't
you're
think
going,
of that.
JC.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did the Charlotte-Miami series, the only playoff series I've really covered. It was amazing. I was just literally hanging out on South Beach, doing nothing for way too much time and getting paid for it.
Yeah, everything
So sorry,
you've ever
ESPN.
read about Miami is accurate.
100%. So
We got
yeah.
stuck there. When I did TV, we were at the Mandarin Oriental on Biscayne Bay.
Oh yeah.
And it was the greatest place on the earth. And I'm texting my wife pictures, and then she's home with like 2 small kids.
Right.
She's like, fuck you. Just fuck you.
They have 3 Kimpton hotels in Miami. I stayed at all 3. It was a 7-game series.
It's the best.
I
The
love
weather's
it.
great. Like you'd be like, it's a little muggy today. Like that's like your complaint with Miami. Miami's the best. So you have Philly in that series, Haley?
Yes, I do want to go back to the Washington conversation.
Please.
Oh,
You said toke. I want to know when the last time you got high was.
I'm 48 years old. That's great. That's awesome. Am I not allowed to say toke?
The kids don't say toke anymore.
I'm not a kid. I'm 48.
Also, I think that Washington, you said that they're more talented roster
No, on paper we said
on paper. Do we think that they could pull what the Raptors pulled this year? What Dwayne Casey did, shaking it up? Could Washington ever do that,
No.
or are they just
They don't have
this
that kind of
stagnant team
flexibility.
forever?
Well, John Wall needs to get better at shooting threes
yeah.
and showing a willingness to move the ball. I think it needs to start with him. Like it's like with Dwayne Casey, the players deserve credit too. DeMar DeRozan
Yeah.
and Kyle Lowry, all the players adapting to that system change. John Wall, it really almost starts with the players in a way. Like they need to have the commitment to doing it.
Yeah, shouts to DeMar for figuring out that he needs a 3-pointer 4 years
And
after
for
people
Lowry,
have been
for
saying that he
Vaughn,
needs a
for
3-pointer.
Lowry was like, okay, I'll have the ball less, which is something John
Yep.
Wall could benefit from.
So to be fair, DeMar made 31% of his threes. Congratulations.
Still
Everyone's
better.
like, DeMar's
Yeah.
new 3. And it's like, all right, he makes 3 out of every
It was
10.
better. At least.
It was better.
It's fine. They weren't hitting the side of the backboard.
No.
But
And he was hitting, I believe, at a better rate on spot up threes, which I guess is probably the more important part than off the dribble.
Jason, true or false? The Wizards are better off if John Wall misses the 3 when he jumped on the scorer's table to win Game 6, and the series ends that night, and they lose 4 games to 2. And the whole summer, John Wall's like, I lost the series. I took a wide open 3 and I missed it.
The Wizards are better off?
They're better off if he misses that 3.
Yeah, I think weirdly, yes, in that it's like they can be more honest with themselves about like where they are as
Exactly.
a team.
You agree with that, Justin?
I just think John Wall has the most unearned confidence in the NBA right now, and I think he would have had that regardless. I just think he's just the guy who thinks he is the guy, and unless someone tells him otherwise, unless he gets moved off of that spot, he's just going to assume that team because he really this entire worldview of the current day Wizards was built around him.
Yeah.
And which is
Yep.
why, to a certain extent, he's always kind of clashed with Beal because it was Wall's team that Beal kind of grew up under. So it's a weird situation there.
I get nervous about just paying a guy gigantic salary because it's like, well, what do we do if we lose him?
Yeah,
You look at the Clippers, they're better off that they don't have that Blake Griffin in that contract.
for life.
Now they
Clipper
got
for life.
Tobias Harris out of it, and they got the 13th pick in the draft, which you'd rather have anyway. But even just getting rid of that contract,
So I'm a blow it up advocate.
yeah, you do love to blow it up, Chaos.
I mean,
Does anybody in this room think Washington can beat Toronto in a series?
can they? Or
It would
will-
take,
can
it
they
would
or
take,
will
it,
they?
it would take an epic
genuinely
collapse.
think it.
It would take an epic collapse on the part of Toronto or some kind of like devastating injury. I mean, they're
Like if you're
we're-
doing a 3-series parlay, would you put Toronto in it? You're trying to get all the odds to even. Haley knows what I'm talking about. You might not know what toke means,
I
but you know
wouldn't.
about parlays.
I do. I'm just saying we don't say it anymore. No, I wouldn't. I don't think Washington can do it. Even if Wall and Beal alternate these huge 37-point games,
Yeah.
it's not happening.
I think they can beat them. I don't think they will, but
I think they could.
can
I'd
make it
be
a
nervous
series.
because over the next 2 days, Cousin Sal and Joe House and I are going to, be throwing 100,000 different gambling round 1 things. And this series makes me just nervous enough to put Toronto as one of the favorites, like with 2 other favorites. I don't feel great about it. Something makes me a tiny bit nervous.
well, I mean, Toronto has a long history of being very shaky in the playoffs.
And they've been very shaky recently as well.
I'm going to do a Mike Greenberg tease. Coming up, I'm going to tell you how Russell Westbrook helped me make the greatest bet I've ever made. But first, with over 19,000 State Farm agents nationwide, you can get an agent that gets you as well as Al Horford and Jason Tatum get each other. Oh, these are two of my favorites, which is the focus of The Ringer's new NBA relationships goals video, which goes live on Thursday. And now it says, in parentheses, riff on an interesting thing or two from the video about Al Horford and Jason Tatum. Here's my riff. I freaking love Jason Tatum. If I had to do an expansion draft and protect everyone in my life, I think he would make the top 10. I really do. I think he'd be in it. I think Andrew Benintendi, my two children, obviously, my wife, one of my dogs, Willie. I think I'd protect Willie.
Dumb Willie, really?
I think Dumb Willie. I really love Dumb Willie. I don't know who the other two would be, but I love Jason Tatum. So that's my riffing on an interesting thing or two. Tatum and Horford both shoot better when the other is on the court. When they're together, the Celtics sport a net rating of just under 8. The kicker, the Celtics D, actually improves when Tatum and Horford are out there, but Kyrie is not, in points by possession and a whole bunch of other stuff. Al Horford, underrated. I really want to vote for him for third team All-NBA, but I know I'm going to take shit.
And you will take shit.
I will
especially
take
from Philly
shit.
fans.
We don't have our best two players. We're going to win 57 games.
Averages 13 points a game, only 5 assists.
Barely 13.
7
He's like
rebounds.
12.9 now. His rebounds and drop. Yeah, I'm not going to vote for him. But anyway,
Great screener.
Check
Yeah,
out that
he's
new
incredible
video.
screener.
The Ringer's new NBA relationship goals video going live on Thursday on TheRinger.com, The Ringer's YouTube channel, YouTube.com/The Ringer, The Ringer's Facebook or Twitter. And remember, like teammates on the court, a relationship with a State Farm agent sets you up for success off the court. Go to StateFarm.com to get an agent that gets you. You guys have heard this story. I'm telling it again for the listeners. Joe House, Sal, and I have had a rough time this year. We led the BS podcast on Monday about our latest gambling mishap where we bet that Patrick Reed would not win the Masters. We had everybody else. We had all the other golfers. It was great. Just rooting for birdies. Except for Patrick Reed. Guess who wins? Patrick Reed. So we need a win. I noticed on the internet, Russell Westbrook needs 16 rebounds to average a triple-double this year. Without besmirching Mr. Westbrook's character too much, I just felt like this was something he would achieve. Just seemed like a good bet. We went all in on this. We went all in on Russell Westbrook getting 16 rebounds. The single dumbest large bet I've ever made in my life. More money on this than I bet on the Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl. And he had 18 rebounds in 25 minutes. He boxed out Carmelo Anthony at one point for the rebound.
Wonderful.
Which have you ever seen anybody box out their own teammate for a rebound? He actually boxed him out.
It was wonderful.
It was great. Doesn't care about stats though.
Can I just ask?
He does not care about stats. Let's
Melo,
be fair.
why were you even?
Yeah,
I just
Melo,
don't
get
understand
away.
what Melo was thinking.
He's just
in
being
that
a dick.
moment. Yeah.
He's trying to pull a John Wall in the situation.
20 rebounds, a career high.
20 rebounds.
A career high rebound.
And the funniest thing was in the first half. I won't say who this was, but it was a friend of mine who's a famous gambler who's also Greek, who's been on my podcast a bunch of times. He pointed out how fast the OKC pace was in the first half. They had 77 points and we're shooting every 12 seconds. Because the more shots, the more
Playing
rebounds.
the Grizzlies.
Although Russell Westbrook wasn't the one taking those shots. He took 9 shots. When's the last time Russell Westbrook took 9?
It was great. I loved it. I don't like stat chasing. And for anyone who says it's just a Westbrook thing, I hated when Rondo did it. It really made me not want to watch the Celtics that year.
Rondo was
when he went on that
incredible at
assist run.
Yeah.
It was just disgusting. And I think Westbrook has been privy to that this year. In this case, I liked it. Right? I like
We had
when
money
guys go
on
for
it.
7. Yeah. Well, no, but I just well, that too. But when Melo could have gone, what was it, for 70 that time?
Yeah.
I wanted him to go for 70. Stay in the game.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Same thing.
I mean, on a lesser one-time scale, but anytime your teammates are feeding you the ball when you have on a way to like a 60-point game,
How about when Devin
Keep going.
Booker when Devin Booker went for 70?
I liked it.
I did too. I loved it.
It was a moment.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you never have that. He would
It's
never
beautiful.
have 70 if his teammates were feeding
No
him the
doubt.
ball every
Yeah.
single
What
time.
was
Really
that time?
cool.
What was that time Klay Thompson could have had like 80 and just came out
Oh, right. Yeah.
after like 3 quarters?
Yeah, he
I
had-
hated that.
I mean, if you're the Grizzlies, can you really have the moral high ground here too? You're starting like the G League team, the Memphis Hustle. Like you're doing your own dirt here, so it's not like there's anyone that's coming out clean here.
It would have been funny if they started Marc Gasol and like 4 power forwards and just like went all in on trying not
boxed
to get
out everything.
Just like we're losing, but you're not getting 16 rebounds.
That's what I said. That they should have done that. When he got close, they should have just triple teamed him. Like, don't let Russ get anywhere near the paint. Face guard him.
Well,
They
there's-
should have thrown the ball out of bounds on every offensive possession after 23 seconds run off the shot clock. Just don't let him get it.
Here's the Grizzlies starting lineup, just for reference: Ivan Robb, Dylan Brooks, Deontay Davis,
Ooh, Ivan Robb.
Kobe Simmons. Don't know who he is.
I'm
and
a Simmons, and I didn't know who he was until like a week ago.
It's a distant cousin.
Ben McLemore.
Yeah.
Oh man,
He's still in the NBA, believe it or not.
I was wrong on that dude. Great athlete. You need more than just being a great athlete. 2 more series in the East. Cleveland, Indiana. I think we can skip over.
Really?
Well,
We can?
just like I
Indiana's
don't-
tough.
oh, I'm with you, but it's
Yeah.
just like we don't know what's going to happen in this series. Is Cleveland going to try? Is their defense going to fall apart? How are we going to predict this?
Yeah.
I have nothing to offer. What am I getting from Cleveland? I don't know.
I think it's a perfect warm-up series for them. Because Indiana has enough, but they're kind of built similar to the Cavs in the way where it's one guy supporting an entire team. And Cleveland's one guy is the best player, perhaps, in modern history.
They have some dudes to throw at LeBron at least. Not that it's going to really matter, but why, Haley, you're thinking about betting on Indiana?
Yeah, I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the odds will be the best, and I think if you do the chart with odds and then how realistic it is, I think that those cross over where it would max out the most for me.
I think discussing this series is like discussing if there's going to be an earthquake in the next 6 weeks or something. Like I don't know. Cleveland, any possibility I'm prepared for. I could see them completely shitting the bed and losing in 5 games. I could see them sweeping. I could see LeBron averaging 45 a game. I don't know. There's no way to know.
The key is just to see if the defense is there. Because, their defense was just putrid throughout the regular season.
Yes.
I think they're going to finish 29th or something.
Yes.
And what you want to see is if that was just because LeBron was coasting in the regular season or if he's going to hit another level on that end. Because if he is, then maybe the finals is pretty much a sure thing.
When you say another level, do you mean trying?
That would be nice. That would be the first of many
Like
steps.
exerting effort?
Yes.
How are we qualifying another level?
Not just standing there as your guys just get blown up on pick and rolls would be nice.
It's also great that, Tristan Thompson has been very publicly outed as having cheated on his girlfriend, Khloe Kardashian, mere days before the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a
are gonna
distraction.
start. It's kind of a distraction. He got booed at home today, Tristan Thompson,
He got booed in Cleveland.
in Cleveland.
They booed him
They booed him.
for being a cheater with an Instagram model?
Cleveland doesn't tolerate that.
It's also like the second time in a row that he's
Cleveland
cheated on
doesn't
his
tolerate
pregnant
that.
girlfriend with another woman.
I guess they're just ignoring the rest of NBA culture, I suppose. It's not it's just part of it. Everybody,
Spicy.
Oh, are we on NBA desktop right now? Defense of Tristan Thompson?
No, I'm not defending Tristan Thompson.
He's
I don't want it to come off that
cheating
way.
culture. No, I'm with KFC. It's like, no, but we joked about this on our Slack today. Like, NBA player cheats on girlfriend is not breaking news in NBA circles.
It was a scumbag move.
It's a tough look.
but
It's a tough. It's
yeah.
a tough look right now
Look at
for my guy.
KFC, you can't judge. No, I'm just.
Should I tell them about the awful joke I saw on Twitter?
Absolutely.
You might have to cut this out. I saw this joke on Twitter that said it was the only time Tristan Thompson's been successful with a double team.
Ooh.
that was Sirat, right?
Yeah.
That's a good joke.
Yeah.
We don't have to
It was
cut that.
amazing.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Well,
So that's the Cavs.
So that's the Cavs, guys.
and their coach got out of the hospital 2 weeks ago. Like, what?
It's great times.
Yeah.
And they
times in
made
Cleveland
7
right now.
trades. What the hell?
Hey,
Pacers,
Cedi Osmond's playing great.
Pacers fans are like, what about us?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're heated. They're heated right now.
Well, we wrote a piece about him.
yeah,
Oh,
read John
I-
Gonzalez.
The
on
great John
Rand.com.
Gonzalez had something.
It was a really
Yeah.
good piece.
Oladipo's really good.
I mean,
I am voting for him for second team NBA,
Same.
and I haven't decided yet. I'm circling it, but he might be my number 5 MVP.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Wow, I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say on most improved, and I was like, "What do you mean?"
Oh, that's a
It's
lock.
Yeah.
I have him edging out Spencer Dinwiddie.
yeah, most improved is a free.
But who cares about that award?
With Oladipo, he's one of the best two-way players in the game this season.
That's the underrated
Right?
part of him is he's like one of the best defenders in
Yes.
the league, like individually.
Yeah, because for a while DeRozan was getting MVP buzz and all that stuff, and I just feel like Oladipo is a better player, and I think he's had a harder job, and I think he's gone toe to toe over and over again with a lot of people, and can also guard the best player in the other team.
We argued about this on a pod maybe
Yeah.
about a month and a half ago.
So you're
and
conceding? Yes.
yes, it's a lot closer than I probably gave
1,
it credit
2,
for.
3.
That's for
Oh,
sure.
I picked Tennessee.
And
Yes.
plus, Oladipo has found his shot again the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Don't give me disqualifiers, KOC.
No, I'm just saying, like this is a good thing for Indiana heading into the playoffs. Oladipo was hot to start the season, cooled off.
I love watching
heating up
Oladipo.
again.
I mean, if we're gonna go with the more with less argument for MVP, like his second best player on this team is Miles Turner. Sure,
Yeah, and he took
but
a step back this year.
Right, he wasn't necessarily consistent this year. Who's number 3?
Lance Stevenson.
Maybe Lance.
Yeah.
Sabonis.
Sabonis.
Sabonis dropped 30 the other night.
My question
Big
is,
time game.
KOC, let's answer a technical basketball question for me. How does Bogdanovich play in crunch time in this series?
It's a good question. It's tough.
Because their best lineup is when he's out there.
Probably have to hide him somewhere on defense, which is fine.
So can you hide him on Kevin Love or J.R. Smith?
Depends how's Cleveland using Kevin Love. They just spotting him up in the wing, or are they using him in the posts? How are they using Kevin Love?
Whoever he's guarding, Cleveland is going to use the guy he's guarding to run the high screen for LeBron. And LeBron, they're just going to try to get him on LeBron over and over again. And eventually the Indiana's going to take him out, would be my guess.
And put in who though?
I don't know.
Like, what's your lineup? Is it Thad Young, Turner, Collison, Oladipo? Yeah, who's your fifth?
It should be
Stevenson.
Bogdanovich.
Stevenson go a little bit more versatile, a little more
Born ready.
switchable.
And I mean, the Cavs, the way they've been playing lately with Jeff Green at the 3, LeBron, and then Kevin Love, I mean, they're kind of
They're gonna
tailor-made to take some of these guys off the floor, especially like Turner. Is Turner going to be able to guard Love out in the perimeter?
Put Sabonis out there, maybe.
Can I give you some spice for NBA desktop?
I can't wait.
You know what Jeff Green's nickname is?
What?
Fool's Gold.
Oh yeah, Jeff Green is the king of
Fool's Gold.
unleashing like a 20-point game or a monster dunk
35-point game on a Friday night. You're
Right.
like, wow, Jeff Green's the best player in the league.
right when people are starting to catch on that he's actually very, very bad. And that it's that dunk or that 35-point game that people are like, oh, Jeff Green, hold on. And they see the body and they see the size and they think, this guy is good.
He'll do the one James Worthy dunk in traffic.
Yep.
How many fan bases has he roped in? Like 6? Memphis, Clippers, Celtics, OKC.
Yeah, but this one
One
was
more,
so
right?
easy. They had so little to be happy about.
Yes.
Right.
Has
He's
there,
weirdly important to them, though, which I think is a
Yeah,
problem.
he is. At one point, he was like almost like a focal point of their
Yeah,
offense.
he's like it's
in
the
their
new
dark
big 3 with
months.
Jeff Green.
Yeah.
who've been guys like him in the past? Insane athleticism that have shown it with like huge games, yet they stink.
Tim Thomas.
That's
Well,
a good
Tim
one.
Thomas
Oh, yeah.
didn't care.
Yeah.
I always felt like-
Jeff Green, Jeff Green, I think maybe didn't
Josh
care
Howard
much.
after that one good Josh Howard season was kind of like this. Where
Oh,
Green's
yeah,
catch him
that's
on
a
the,
good
catch him
one.
on the right night
Jeff Green's
when he
in like
wasn't
his
toking.
10th year
And-
though. I mean, it's not like it's just short fizzled out. He's been
this
around a
is
long
who
time.
Jeff Green is. He was in the draft, the 2007 draft. He was in the Greg Oden draft.
Yeah.
Well,
He's not getting better.
maybe they waited to start him because they knew they only had 2 good weeks for them. So just save those for the playoffs.
Jason, give us 30 seconds on Jose Calderon.
Jose Calderon, great shooter still. Could not defend a stationary object of any kind. Could not defend a mailbox. Owns a ham farm. And also, like from watching it with the Knicks, he's got a great, I think, historic assist to turnover ratio. And that's primarily a function of the fact that he's not going to try any pass that isn't a surefire catch by the other person. Like he does not, he is a very, very conservative passer to the point that it's annoying. Like he just will not try
Solid
a
30
pass that
seconds
has
right there.
any chance of being picked
I think
off.
you underestimated his defense.
His defense is
When you
incredibly
said
bad.
he couldn't guard a stationary object, I'd go further. Whatever
I
the
mean,
worst sentence is.
He was never a good defender, and now he's extremely old and washed.
Yeah,
So-
it's one of those
You weren't
guys where
lying
you
about
go,
him.
that guy looks like me if I still played.
Well, that's why he fits on the Cavs.
Yeah.
Farmer.
No, he owns a
forgot
ham
about
farm.
that, yeah.
We
He
spent
owns a
too
ham
much time on Cleveland, Indiana. I don't know what to expect. I will say this. If Cleveland's down 3-2 going into Indiana in game 6 in that building, that's going to be really fun. That's one of our most fun playoff scenarios, I think, for round 1 is like, oh shit, Cleveland might lose. What is it called? Conseco Field?
House.
The
Yeah.
field
Conseco
house.
House?
Yeah.
Can take
That's
a field
it,
house.
my favorite basketball. You've been there, Cassie?
No, never.
Best basketball arena I've ever been in because they didn't build it for hockey, so the sides are nice and close. So it's all like all the way around. All right, last one, Boston, Milwaukee, 2-7. We don't have to go into this. It's Milwaukee is the best player. Boston's coaching advantage is probably worth 10 points a game. I don't know.
10
The
is
system,
strong,
the infrastructure.
but yeah,
I could see Giannis single-handedly beating them. I don't think that'll happen.
not in a 7-game series.
I'd be very surprised if Boston lost the series. And I say this as somebody who does not think they'll get out of round 2.
My favorite part about Milwaukee is that they finally have everyone back. And before tonight's game, everyone made a big deal of this, that they finally have all their guys. Their guys got blown off the
Yeah.
floor by Philly. I don't have much confidence going into the playoffs.
I sat courtside for a Clippers-Bucks game 2 weeks ago and was basically staring at their coach, trying to figure out if he was alive or not. I'm still not positive. I know his legs move. Haley's nodding knowingly.
Yeah.
Do they have a Louisville guy in this team? Is that why you care?
No.
Who are the
they have
Louisville
Giannis.
guys in the playoffs? Rozier.
Gorgie Jang.
Ooh.
Shout out to the Wolves. Rozier. Donovan Mitchell, who is a great player, by the way. Heard
He's
you
a
guys
very,
talking
very
about
good
him
player.
Very good.
earlier.
Love Donovan Mitchell.
Experienced player.
Yeah.
Montrezl Harrell.
Montrez is not in it.
God,
Clippers aren't in it.
That's a fun. You have one more guy. That's a really fun starting 5.
Yeah, I know. Next year.
There's not one
Dang
more guy.
Adele.
Onuaku on the Rockets.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I forget about him.
So
Manu takes all the shine.
Boston should beat Milwaukee. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't because their team's not very good, but
What's the Celtics health update with Marcus?
doesn't look.
Wasn't it supposed to be he's going to be
great.
reevaluated and
Yeah.
later,
Is it,
later
is
in the
there's
month?
definitely
there's-
out for the first
yeah.
round?
Who's
there's
playing
no-
in this backcourt?
It might be Kadeem Allen.
Shane Larkin.
I'll tell you, Terry Rozier is definitely taking not years off my dad's life, but weeks. Definitely weeks.
Here's another guy who's
He's
up
losing
here,
weeks.
down here.
Yes.
I mean, he's really streaky.
Unbelievable shot selection at the worst possible time, but then sometimes they go in. You're like, oh, I love that guy.
Always in the end of a quarter.
Same thing in college, right?
Oh man, I
Yeah.
always like that
Yep.
Terry. But the 26-footer with the hand in his face with 8 seconds left in the shot clock, he'll do it. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he's filling in Kyrie's footsteps.
The best in traffic, I think that guy's going to break his neck offensive rebounder I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
He
gets
jumps over
after
like
it.
7 guys, and you just think he's going to die every time, and then he gets the rebound.
Probably one of the better rebounding guards in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for a guy that shot 27% in his rookie year, being a streaky guy is definitely a compliment.
And he takes a lot of tough shots.
Tough
too.
shots.
Celtics run him off a lot of screens.
Yeah.
This Milwaukee team, it should be embarrassed. They have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be this much of a mess, and they should have figured out a better coaching situation because they have one of the best 6 or 7 guys in the league, and they're just throwing away the season basically. 'cause
There's so many aspects that are confusing to
embarrassing.
it. The
Yeah.
defense, Jabari, like, Chris, like all of it just doesn't make any sense.
And if Malcolm Brogdon is your saving grace, it's not a good sign. The one thing I will be interested in.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I'm interested in seeing is how much Giannis plays the 5. If you're going him as a point guard, him as a 5 on
Hello,
defense.
that's like the freaking answer to their season is
Yep.
just play Giannis at center and put him where
Exactly.
shooters around him.
And they've barely done that all season long. I wonder if now it's the playoffs they'll go to it because that's the no-brainer
It's like
solution.
it's the Mike Lombardi joke. You're 1 injury away, and like the Pelicans were 1 injury away, and somehow it was Boogie who was one of the best, probably a second team All NBA center at that point, but he got hurt. That moved Davis where
Yeah.
he should be, and all of a sudden the whole team takes off.
the pieces fit now.
Mirotic at the 4.
My fear
That's
would
great.
be the day before this series, Milwaukee says, "Hey, we've decided to put Giannis at center,"
Or they hire a coach.
or they hire a coaching consultant. Maybe
mean-
Rick Pitino.
All right, let's just.
to try to
Get back
get revenge
on the
against the
NBA.
Celtics.
The one
Or is it Patino's just no fly zone with you? You can't. It's too painful still.
I just want him to be happy.
What if he was the UCLA coach? You're gonna cry now.
I think he just needs time away. You know, every time I see him on TV, I think he looks like he needs a vacation.
He's looked like that for a long time. He looks like he just needs more blood in his body. I'll tell you this, though. If my school Holy Cross hired him, I'd be all in on Patino. I'd defend him to the death.
I want him for
Really?
UConn.
I take back every joke ever made.
Yeah.
I think he's a good college coach.
He is.
And I think if he moved down to a level that he was overqualified for, he'd be amazing. If he went there, like if he had his own version of Loyola Chicago or whatever he finds, Pepperdine. He's Pepperdine hired a coach. Going to the West, Golden State, San Antonio. Let's skip this one.
Yeah. Sounds
Great. We'll have plenty of weeks to have the Golden State. What's wrong with them? Should we be worried? We don't need to have that this week because they're going to beat San Antonio.
Ooh.
Houston.
What do you say? Ooh, like that's a
KC,
tank.
What? What?
KSC's a big Bryn Forbes fan.
I just know Shay's listening. That's all. I just know Shay. This plate's mic'd up.
KSC
He knows.
shook.
He's gonna be
Shay.
listening.
Shay's fine. He'll have more time to do stuff during the playoffs without his team involved. Quick break to talk about my friend, ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? Posting your position at job sites, waiting for the right people to see it? I hope not. ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way. They built a platform that finds the right job candidates for you. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, invites them to apply to your job. Those invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. And ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. They even spotlight the strongest applications you receive. You never miss a great match. Man, it's too bad the Bucks didn't use this. Could have found a coach. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. Businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. Right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. Yeah, free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/ringer NBA. That is ZipRecruiter.com/ringer NBA. And if you don't like that code, use ZipRecruiter.com/BS. Whatever you want. Multiple codes for you. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Houston, Minnesota. 1-8. Kind of a shitty outcome for Houston. If they played Denver, they would have scored 140 points a game against them. Minnesota with Butler back, you could argue they might be the, fourth best team in that conference.
I guess it
It's
depends
kind of
on
a bad beat.
which Butler you're getting. I think
Yeah.
is the biggest question for me.
How
But
do you look tonight? I missed most of that game. Still a little hurt.
some good
75%. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
had his moments.
Looked
but
like he settled for bad shots a
He
lot.
did.
yeah, especially late in the game, he kind of took over
Isn't
and
that kind
he
of
wasn't
typical
really doing too well.
of him, though?
It
He does
is.
like
It
to
is.
take that
Yeah.
swing.
And in his semi-defense, there wasn't a lot of players out there for the Wolves that looked like they wanted the ball late in the game.
Towns looked tired towards the end, even though I
Yeah.
still would have liked to see Minnesota just feed
Wiggins
him anyway.
disappeared for long stretches
What?
at the end of the game.
Wiggins was defending, though, at least.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see.
I think the one advantage they're going to have at Houston is just when in the game where DeMarcus Cousins was lost for good, the DeMarcus Cousins-Davis combination really took it to the Houston.
Yeah.
And I think that same sort of size advantage for Minnesota might come to bear against the Rockets just because like Capella and what they do works, but you're really thin up front. You're hoping that guys like PJ Tucker can just provide enough of an advantage and pull these guys out of the paint to counterbalance it.
The Mbah Moute injury is a thing.
It's bad. It makes it worse.
really
he was
rough.
probably their fifth best player.
Yeah.
That wasn't. He certainly wasn't the guy I watched on the Clippers. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened to him, but he was good.
Maybe all defense.
Yeah, and it was a
definitely
stabilizing
can-
force for their defense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think that this will be a series.
I don't.
I
Think
don't.
So either.
It's a well-oiled machine versus parts. You know,
Yeah.
that's what Minnesota's offense is, and their defense is
I think
worth
the
talking
weirdest thing about this season for me is finally coming to the grips with the fact that Tibbs might not be a good coach.
coming to grips.
I know. I was late.
He
I
is
was late.
He is. Yeah.
Go ahead,
When you
do it,
say
Haley.
things about-
Do your thing.
He's not a good coach. He's absolutely not a good
I don't
coach.
think he's a good coach.
Would you fire him tomorrow?
He's the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I said this in Slack the other day, but the best thing he's done for Minnesota was a front office move, and that was getting Jimmy Butler.
Oh, for sure.
But he shouldn't be in the front office.
But a lot of the moves he made after that just really haven't worked out.
We're bad, although we did make fun of the Taj one.
Taj
and
is-
that's been, a good part of their team.
See, I like
Taj
the
has been
Taj one. The Jamal Crawford one was the one I didn't like.
so bad.
Another fool's gold.
Yeah.
man, Jason.
I like the Justin Patton draft pick. Too bad he doesn't use him. I like the Anthony Brown 2-way contract. Too bad he doesn't use him. Marcus George's Hunt. Too bad he doesn't use him.
Ice!
The tough part for Minnesota is like, who on that team stops James Harden and Chris Paul? They have Jeff Teague, Jamal Crawford,
a mess.
Derrick Rose, Tyus Jones.
Here's my recommendation.
It's gonna be rough.
I think this is a good sweep bet. And I say that thinking Minnesota might actually hang with them a couple of these games. I just don't see how they stop Harden in crunch time. If Butler's not 100% and if he's 75, they have no chance.
I mean, well, Haley is
And
just
then we haven't talked about Chris Paul.
is just making it like enough at this point.
It's the
for
third
Minnesota?
greatest moment in Minnesota basketball history.
And I think
Right.
it is. I think it is making it is enough at this point.
But
13 years.
Enough
It's the same
for
in the playoffs.
what, Thibodeau?
Well, for the city, I guess.
How about for
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, free agent in 2019?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I think I was saying that even like 3 weeks, a month ago, but now it's just kind of like you're here and it feels like not enough because you do have talent. You see, especially tonight, like when Andrew Wiggins tries and he's playing defense and he's passing.
always nice.
I gasped. I saw him like drive in and he kicked it out and I was like, that's not right. And like he had like 3 or 4 rebounds or something. When he's trying,
congratulations.
it's an improvement. When you see like the talent that they do have, I think it's just kind of disappointing.
Tibbs.
Yeah.
That guy won us the 2008 title because Doc Rivers had no idea how to coach defense for those first 3 years. He had zero clue of what to do in a pick and roll or anything. Tibbs came in. KG comes in. All of a sudden, Doc looks like a genius. I think Doc became a pretty good coach, but didn't know what he was doing in 2000.
Tibbs really innovated defense.
He really did.
in that era. And I still,
Had a hedge, had to send the double, all that
Yeah.
shit. He came up with it.
for sure. And I
But
still
now
wonder-
everybody's replicated it.
Yeah, I wonder, can Tibbs become a good coach?
Well, why I was saying that like so emphatically is because of watching him on offense. It has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the defense. Like his offensive schemes, there really isn't anything. It's either like a bunch of guys doing isolation. I don't know how much of that is just Jimmy Butler deciding that he's going to do what he wants with it. And, Andrew Wiggins kind of falls into the same thing. He thinks that's what he does best. But, there's really
Wait,
no
hold on. What does
system.
Andrew Wiggins think he does best? I'm honestly curious.
He's driving it in. Driving
Spin-
it in, pull up,
Yeah.
driving in all the way.
And spin moves.
Spin moves.
You
He
think
does.
that's-
Honestly, he does do that.
his
That's the
spin
best
move is-
thing he
his
does.
spin
Yeah,
move
it's
is great.
really good.
His spin move is elite.
It's no faults.
Yeah. Well,
No, I said that unironically. Fultz's spin move is unbelievable.
No one can
This
tell
is
anymore.
Oh,
really good too.
This is really good. I really like the Fultz spin move. I think the league's going to eventually figure out that he does the same thing every time. But
Like
But
they
he
did
doesn't
with
shoot
Wiggins.
threes. Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
doesn't
like
shoot
that's why
threes
the
or
Wiggins
long
one isn't
twos.
so special
Yep.
anymore. Everyone's figured it out.
I think that the thing with Tibbs too that is kind of underrated is it's really become more of an offensive league in the last few years. Like elite
Right. It
offense.
shifted away from what he was good at.
Elite offense is just much more valuable than elite defense.
94 to 2006 was like his wheelhouse.
You know what would help an offense that might be struggling a little bit? Perhaps maybe one of the best scoring big men in the freaking NBA. How about you
Yeah.
just let Karl Anthony Towns
Carl
eat
Towns.
against like one of the smallest, as we were saying, front courts in the league? KOC and I were watching the game earlier, and what KOC was basically saying the whole time is like, why isn't Towns getting the ball? Why isn't he being more aggressive down
When
the
I
stretch?
when I saw them in person, that was my same reaction.
Yeah.
He seemed very content not to get the ball. It's like, go get the ball. You're the best
Scream
guy
for
on
the
the
ball.
team. Yeah.
Really?
Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Go get it.
Who did you see them play?
I saw them play the Clippers. It was a long time ago. It was like
Interesting.
4 months ago.
Yeah, it's before
And
Jimmy went out.
it took a while for them to kind of go, oh, we should do stuff with Towns.
Interesting. I think that what you guys were talking about watching this game in overtime was that he was exhausted. He looked really tired. And also I think that it was kind of understood from him and Wiggins that they weren't getting the ball. Carl took like one shot in overtime. Wiggins only had those 2 free throws.
Right, which is the problem with Butler.
There's no excuse for Towns not shooting 18 times a game. Whether that's on him or the coaching staff, he needs to be shooting the ball that many times.
Butler
a game.
doing a little hero ball in the last 4 minutes could be a problem for them in this series. I need to look at it more, but there's always like at least one sweep, and that seems I just can't imagine them guarding Chris Paul and James Harden.
No.
The last 2 series, right now it was Utah was up by, or Portland was up by 13. 6 minutes left. It is now 9:39 tonight. So if that holds, we have Portland against New Orleans, Portland home court, and then Utah against OKC. Utah home court. Hopefully, we won't have to do this whole part again. Let's just start it now. Portland, New Orleans. I'm kind of bummed for Portland. Thought Portland was a sleeper. I don't love this matchup for them. I don't like any series where I don't have the best player. Playoff Rondo frightens me. Drew Holiday's playing really well. New Orleans has shooters. They kind of have the eye of the tiger. They've over and over again won games that I never thought they were going to win. And they're pretty resilient. And this is a tough series. Let's go around the horn.
We just talked about how with Minnesota, they don't have the guards to stop Harden and Paul. New Orleans does have the guards to stop Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. They have Drew Holiday, who should be on the All-NBA team.
You have him first or second?
Probably second.
Yeah.
And then Rajon Rondo, playoff Rondo, who has been terrific the last couple of weeks. Had that moment against Kevin Durant, just snatching the ball away from him at the end of the game. Unbelievable. So they at least have the personnel to contain Portland's best players. Do they have anybody to stop Anthony Davis? Nobody does.
Yeah.
You never want to go against anyone in the playoffs whose best player is averaging a 30 and 12 for the last 3 months of the season.
Who might be the
Like
best two-way guy in the league right now.
Yeah, those are like 2000 Shaq numbers.
Yeah, and
30 and 12 every night.
in the one playoff
Not
series,
shooting threes.
one playoff series we have from Davis was perhaps one of the best 4-game runs in recent history. When he went up against the eventual champions and scored like 32 points a game and almost like made that a series single-handedly. And now the team, since Boogie's gone down, is maybe even like more suited to his skill set than it was earlier in the season, even in 2015, where it was more like Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson. You have guys like Eastwan Moore stepping up, Drew Holiday playing his best ever. I mean, the
He's getting
Pelicans
emotional.
are peaking.
You covered this team.
I'm just not used to them
Should we
doing
play
well.
the
I don't know.
Titanic music?
It's just a complete flip from what I'd been
Kyle,
seeing the past
can you
few
put
years.
the Titanic music under this? It's just
I miss my muffalettas.
Would you pick him to win the series, Justin?
I don't know. I'm getting close to.
I would. I'm gonna pick him.
Davis is just so good.
This feels like a 7-gamer.
I think it's a 7-gamer. I don't know if
Portland's
New
a
Orleans
tough
wins.
place to win a game 7.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think New Orleans wins, but I could see this going 7. But it's an extremely dangerous matchup for Portland. I mean, like Ko said, the personnel is very well suited to slowing down the things that the Blazers do well. Anthony Davis is going to eat big time, and the New Orleans has no pressure on them. None. No pressure, no expectations. One of their star players out for the season. People stop talking about them.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on them at all.
And we didn't even mention my old friend, the Ewing theory. This is such a great example. It's the best. Media hype superstar, never won anything, gets hurt, everybody writes the team off. That's the Ewing theory. There's no, this is perfect.
Except the Knicks were good when Patrick Ewing was on the floor.
No, I know.
And
It
when
was more
Boogie
like
was
what
on
we
the,
named
and when
Patrick.
Boogie is on the floor for teams, they don't win.
Right.
That is Ewing theory.
But the Ewing theory started because it was Dave Cerulli, this reader I had
Yeah.
20 years ago. He was basically, every time Ewing came out of the game at Georgetown, the team did better. And he started tracking it. And he couldn't figure it out. It was like pre-advanced metrics. And then the year that I ran his whole theory, Ewing got hurt and the Knicks made the finals without Patrick Ewing. And everybody, my 5,000 readers were like, what the hell is going on?
I mean, I've been saying this for weeks. Like, you make the Boogie trade every time because of what you gave up and what it did to raise their ceiling. I don't think like they would ever get to that.
And gives
height.
them a chance to keep Davis too.
100%.
Yeah.
But this team fits Davis, and not only that, but fits what Alvin Gentry wants to do with Davis better than what they had before.
Yeah.
And it looks a little like the last Suns team he had with Nash, the way the up pace play, which they really couldn't do with Boogie.
No, yeah. I mean, that was one of the biggest issues, and one of the things that people pointed to, like Tom Haberstroh, about maybe why he got hurt, is because they were playing at such a fast pace. And since he's been out, their pace has been like bordering on historic at times.
Yeah.
It's just been running it down teams' throats.
I love it. Haley, what do you think?
I think it tears me apart that these two are facing each other.
Should we play the Titanic music again?
Now is the time to play Titanic.
All right, keep
Because
going.
I love Portland. I thought they were this team that, I had counted out kind of like people had the Raptors in the East, entering the year. And then all of a sudden it's like this backcourt that I thought I knew what they could do. They were doing it better. But then you see like what Davis is doing, and I actually think that they could take it. And it's interesting because I almost think the Pelicans are a more complete team.
Sure.
Is that a take, Kevin?
Well, the
that's a take. That's
pieces
some
fit
spice.
really nicely. Like
Yeah.
everybody on this goofy Pelicans team knows what they are. Rondo's like, I'm not going to shoot. Drew Holiday's like, I'm feeling it. I got paid. I'm having a great year. Davis like, I'm the best guy in the league.
Drew's
the other
having an
guys are like,
underrated
we're shooters.
season.
We're over here. And that's their team.
Mirotic spacing the floor,
Yeah.
knocking down threes,
It's
having
a
some
perfect
big
use
games.
of Mirotic.
Yeah.
It really is.
I guess the one thing that they don't know about is surprisingly one of the biggest X factors here is what they're going to get out of Solomon Hill. Just because, like, they have that first wave of backcourt defenders to throw at CJ and Dame, but like after that, I mean, it gets kind of slight there, and then you're counting on Ian Clark to step up, and you're more than that counting on a guy like Solomon Hill to be that sort of wing defender that they never really had.
They have two guys, Mirotic and Rondo, who, for whatever reason, I feel like on a big stage in the playoffs are just going to play better than they normally do. I think they have the history of that. Like, oh, I trust those guys. They're in Portland. Those guys could play well in a game 7 and potentially steal it. Great series. Probably Philly, Miami, and Portland, New Orleans. I'd be good with those two. And I think Toronto, Washington's going to be pretty good. The last one, Utah, OKC. Now, Portland, there's 3 minutes left. Jay Crowder is talking shit to Damian Lillard for some reason. Nurkic just came over.
Of course,
There's technicals. So that's still going on, but it looks like Portland's going to win. Utah, OKC.
Man, it's like
Let's go this way this time. Justin, this is not a good matchup for OKC.
No, I think that's one of the teams that they definitely did not want to face. Just because, like, a lot of what the Thunder have done well over the last couple of weeks is just kind of pick and roll with Russell Westbrook, Steven Adams. Adams has been on another level this season. He's definitely taken a step forward, been closer to the guy we saw in the playoffs 2 years ago. And Gobert's the perfect guy to neutralize him in a series like this, making Melo and some of these other ancillary guys much bigger in the picture.
And Westbrook on those drives to the basket, a little harder when Gobert's standing there.
Yeah.
Right.
it's the
what do you think, Haley?
It's the reckless versus the conservative, and I think that there's a way to Utah can just make OKC beat itself with turnovers. I mean, they can do, they can slow them down as much as they want. I think this is really bad for OKC.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that Russ is going to get frustrated, and we're going to see a lot of what his biggest, haters hate on him the most for. He's going to get desperate in the end of games and start throwing up a million shots and doing it by himself and forgetting about Paul George.
And they're a player short. They have this Carmelo issue, which they can't really figure out what to do with that. And just that he's not somebody who should be a starter. And maybe he's a 6-man or whatever he is. He's not how they're using him. And then Paul George hasn't played well really since the All-Star break. I left him. Did you have him on All-NBA?
Who was that?
Paul George?
No.
I left him off. I thought 5 weeks ago he was a lock for me to make All-NBA, and I couldn't justify it.
Defense fell off after the Robertson injury when he got inserted into that role.
Yeah.
And his shooting just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
It's hard to put him on.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Utah's a very tough matchup for OKC. They've got a lot of continuity with the way they play, their personnel. These are all players that know exactly what they have to do. I would say the one question mark is, can Mitchell carry this through into the playoffs?
I was going to raise that.
That's the thing.
The history of rookies in the playoffs, they
It's up and
tend to
down.
blink.
Yeah.
They tend to feel it a little bit. He's pretty unusual. I think some of the stuff he's done.
Would you
ahead.
say special?
I don't want to say special.
He's like Dwayne Wade with the jump shot, and Dwayne Wade, his first playoffs was great.
I don't like using special.
So,
I don't use
we'll see.
using transcendent, but I have a stat. He's the 13th rookie guard to average 20 points a game. He's the third in the last 25 years.
And he just broke the record
That's not a
for
joke.
3-pointers made by rookies.
Yeah. And he's had some moments where
Right.
nationally televised games where he's kind of pulled it out and done his thing. Like, oh, I didn't realize this was going to happen for a rookie.
He's had more custom sweatshirts made than any other rookie in the
All
past
right.
30
That's
years.
been the biggest. Jay Crowder might get in a fight with Dame Lillard as we're doing the podcast. He's going to be at least be in a diss track. What's Dame Lillard's rap name?
Dame
Dame
Dalla.
Dalla.
Dame
Sign.
Dalla. Dame Dalla might have a diss track coming for him. KOC, what are we missing with this series? Anything?
I just want to go back to something that was mentioned earlier with Westbrook driving to the rim, going against Gobert. I pulled up a stat. This season, Russell Westbrook has attempted only 25% of his shots at the rim when Gobert's been on the floor, compared to 35% when not against Gobert. and that's just against Utah. I don't know his distribution off the top of my head against all other teams, but it's interesting. I mean, Gobert is somebody who deters players from getting to the rim, and that's Russell Westbrook's greatest strength: attacking the lane, finishing inside, drawing fouls, kicking it out, and his turnover ratio increases drastically when Gobert is on the floor. Again, small sample, obviously, but that'll be interesting to watch because he is really the center of their entire offense. He leads to everything for that team. I wonder if maybe they'll have to find other ways to find offense, maybe facilitating through Paul George a little bit more.
Is that Carmelo Anthony's music?
Probably not.
Do you think Rick Rubio can guard Westbrook, Jason?
Rick Rubio?
Has anyone ever called him Rick Rubio?
We're going to do it
We're
this whole
starting now.
podcast.
He's an adult now.
Jason and I are
He's
starting
no
Rick
longer
Rubio.
a Ricky.
He's a man.
He's a
grown
man
up.
now.
He's been on a couple teams.
He's got a beard. He got a sleeve.
He's got the man
Full
bun.
tap.
He's a man of. Is Dame Lillard hurt? What's going on here? It looks
Bad
like
boy
Crowder
Rick.
kind of undercut him a little bit. Reminiscent of Game 81. Not to start trouble, but I think you should stop nudging
I
guys
was
when
about
they're
to
in the
say,
air.
started the season that way,
Yeah,
ended it
gee.
the same.
Ricky's a very good defender, but can he defend Russell Westbrook?
What about
No,
Rick?
But it's a
What if
team.
he's Rick Rubio?
If he's Rick Rubio, I think he's got a shot. He's more,
Rick
more
Rubio
physical,
stop
more
Westbrook?
physical guy.
I don't think Ricky Rubio can stop Westbrook, but I do think Rick Rubio.
Yeah, Rick definitely. After smoking at halftime, will get physical with Westbrook.
You think
he
smoking
smoking?
cigs or something else?
Yeah.
Nah, he's both.
The one thing I am interested in is just like the context of the entire series, though. It's kind of the worst possible scenario for the Thunder in their bid to keep Paul George, because you have a team that's top heavy and has been relying on being so talented the entire year. They'll get to the playoffs and they'll figure it out, right? But then you have the Jazz, who are based entirely on the system, making like better of its spare parts. And if you're Paul George and you're like, why am I going to stick with this big three team that can't even beat a team like this? Why wouldn't I just go join something like that? Maybe in Philly.
Does anyone think OKC can? I saw what you did there.
Just gonna slide that in there.
Philadelphia Ringer.
I know, I've been hanging out with Chris Ryan too much.
Does anyone think OKC can win the series? Like genuinely think it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
possible,
I
yeah.
think they could do it.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because I think if we were all like, yeah, Utah's winning, I think that's actually a bad sign for Utah. I could see Russ going nuts
For sure.
and getting Gobert into foul trouble and figuring out and Adams and fights and who the hell knows.
Paul George heats up, game slows down, half court game.
Yeah. Donovan
knows?
Mitchell gets shook.
Yeah.
Like Russ is the best player in this series.
Russell Westbrook stepped up his defense to a much higher level against Houston last week. Maybe he does it over the course of the full series against Utah and contains Donovan Mitchell.
We're going to take a quick break. Let's set a timer with the Google Assistant for this speed round segment. Hey, Google, set timer for 2 minutes.
All right, 2 minutes, and we are starting now.
Your favorite player to watch in the playoffs who's not a star? Kevin.
Does Ben Simmons count?
No, he's a star.
Joe Ingles.
Joe Ingles. Having a great year.
Great
It's
answer.
like 44% from three.
Killing it, stepping up.
Unbelievable. Great advanced metrics guy. Jason Concepcion, favorite player who's not a star in the playoffs?
I mean, I'm hating myself for saying this, but Jason Tatum, is he a star?
No.
Yeah, Jason
No.
Tatum. I hate myself for saying that too.
It's
But
great
that's
because
fair.
I think you genuinely mean it. And also, I feel like you sucked up to me a little bit.
I
That's
just-
a
I
huge
just-
win both ways.
It's annoying that he is that good. I'm
I had a
annoyed. I'm
whole-
extremely annoyed.
Haley, favorite non-star in the playoffs?
Mine was Tatum, but I'll go Larry Nance.
Wow, I didn't know there was this much Tatum love.
Oh, he's so
This is
fun.
phenomenal.
But that's
a
because
nice
he's
kid.
like borderline. He's pretty much a star.
Larry Nance Jr.?
No, Tatum, but I'll go Larry Nance since he took Tatum.
Larry Nance because...
Fun. He's super athletic.
Dunks.
Dunks.
He does dunk.
I'm a simple woman.
Known Duncan.
It's entertaining.
Swim moves on box outs, too.
What does Cleveland do against Philly with a center? Do you play the embattled Tristan Thompson? What do you
Oh
do?
my god.
We don't know where
You can't
Tristan
just go
Thompson
Kevin
will be.
Love.
Can't
You
play
gotta
Kevin
get-
Love
you
against
gotta
Embiid.
get something. Yeah.
Can Larry Nance even do anything? That's a
You might
bad
have to try
matchup
it. I
for
don't
them.
know. That's a mess.
Oh, I
That's
got
something they don't want to
sidetracked.
get
Justin,
into.
your favorite non-star in the playoffs?
I'm gonna go Rudy Gay. Shouts to UConn.
Ooh.
I'm going to the Ringers' JJ Redick.
Yeah. There you go.
He's been a great teammate, great employee,
Yeah.
and reliable podcast host. Unconventional for NBA players that aren't usually reliable. And I like he's really feeling it now with these open threes, and he has these little fist pump dances,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I've been enjoying the JJ experience. Shout out to JJ. Let's rank the playoff series, and then we're done.
Ooh.
Favorite playoff series around the room? What do you got, KOC?
Probably Philly, Miami,
Backup choice?
Utah, Oklahoma City.
Okay. There you go. What do you got, Jason?
Philly, Miami, and then Toronto, Washington for the takes.
Oh. I mean, JC always goes for the takes.
I love the takes.
You love the takes.
Spice.
There's a lot of takes in that series. Haley?
Philly, Miami, then Cavs, Pacers. Because I think that could be an upset.
Some good takes there,
Yeah.
too.
Series we skipped over.
What nefarious?
What did we skip over?
I mean, Cleveland, Indiana.
Yeah, but then we talked about it.
You guys didn't let me
Yeah.
skip over it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I just don't think there's a way to analyze Cleveland at this point.
No, there's not. We have no idea what they're going to be.
It's like trying to analyze what my son is going to do after he's had like a giant Coke in a movie theater. It's like anything is possible. And that's it. What do you got, Justin?
I'll do Portland, New Orleans at the top just because I think it's going to be fun and a lot of offense. And then probably Philly, Miami.
Wow. I'm going Philly, Miami. And I'm going Portland, New Orleans. So we have 5 votes for Philly, Miami, 2 votes for Portland, New Orleans, 1 for Utah, OKC, 1 for Cleveland, Indiana, and 1 for Toronto, Washington. So that means number 1 choice, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and number 2, Utah, OKC, 3, Portland, New Orleans, Toronto, Washington, Cleveland, Indiana, all tied, which leaves 3 teams that weren't picked: Boston, Milwaukee, Houston, Minnesota, Golden State, San Antonio. Your least favorite series out of those 3, KOC?
Golden State, San Antonio.
Okay. Jason?
Same.
Haley?
I think actually Rockets, Wolves, because I think that
She's going to hurt you mentally and physically?
No, because I think that Spurs, Golden State will be somehow more interesting, even though Spurs are the most boring team in the league right now.
Wow.
Competitively, I think it'll be more interesting.
Boston, Milwaukee. I just I don't
it's a
think
bummer.
Milwaukee has the strategic advantage to overcome the talent advantage.
Kind of hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry.
I think that's going to be a good series just because Boston has guys like Terry Rozier and Shane Larkin playing large minutes in a playoff series.
Can't wait.
Anything's possible.
Gershon Yabusele.
Yeah. And he might play.
Who knows?
Abdul Nader might play in this series.
Kadeem Allen could play.
I have it's amazing. Golden State, San Antonio, I'm just completely apathetic. It's like Golden State should kill them, and if they're not killing them, I don't want to watch that either.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch like apathetic,
It's been so
kind of waiting
hard
to turn the switch
to
on
watch
Golden
San
State.
Antonio.
What sounds worse than that? I don't want to watch that.
It's a slow death.
The good thing with San Antonio, though, is if they lay an egg in the first game, you could just turn out like the entire series. Just because when Pop knows it's not there, he just kind of lets it go. He just moves on to the next thing.
Most fun thing that hasn't happened yet. We'll end on this one. Most fun thing that hasn't happened yet that you'd be most excited about that would add some spice / interest / whatever to the playoffs. I'm going to go first. Tomorrow it's announced Kawhi Leonard is playing in this series.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
I will rephrase the question a little bit. What could happen that's realistic that would light our Slack on fire for an hour and a half? Where just everybody's in there and it's just like moving.
All right,
and you can see like 7 people are typing. It says the several people are typing. That's happening.
John Wall is told to stay home for the entire playoffs.
That's realistic.
You took mine.
Oh, sorry.
All right, come back to me last. I have to come up with something else.
Oh, all right.
That's a good one.
KSC.
Ben Simmons says in a media scrum, I've been saving something all season for the playoffs. It's actually
switches hands?
his right-handed jump shot.
That actually could happen too. All right. Simmons switch. Jason.
The Sixers announced Embiid's going to play, and then he just immediately starts roasting Whiteside over various social media platforms.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah, everything.
You suck.
Remember that last game? The whole thing.
Embiid immediate.
That'd be good.
Haley, you ready yet? She looks sad.
I am. I thought the John Wall was so
That John Wall was
good.
incredible. That's spice.
You want some more time? Want me to do another ad?
Yeah, do another ad.
If there's one coach that can stand up to a star player, it's Scott Brooks.
Okay, I've got one. I'm coming back. Don't do that.
Okay.
I don't know if this is actually allowed, but the Spurs head coach Greg Popovich quits and he coaches the Bucks.
He switches teams?
would make that series so exciting.
He's like, I've had it.
He's had it, and he's going to.
I've got something to announce.
Yeah.
I
like
actually
it.
think if you told me like you could have $100 if Greg Popovich doesn't retire at any point during the playoffs, or your life ends if he does, I would be afraid to take the $100.
What are the Bucks like? What is the Bucks record with Greg Popovich as coach? And then what
Oh
do
my
they
God.
do in the playoffs?
This season?
Yes, this
But
season right
there's
now.
there's some subtle Greg Popovich is kind of washed buzz.
I
floating
don't
around.
know.
Some
Listen,
subtle.
Okay, then let's say Brad Stevens.
Oh no, I mean that's not even fun.
Listen,
wouldn't
I think
do
we
that.
also
Brad
forget
Stevens
that-
coaching another team. No, Brad Stevens coached the Bucks. He would play Giannis at center, and they would be like 58 and 24. They would.
You can't play Giannis at center all season, though.
No, but he would in crunch time. He would. He would
you'd
do
lean
kind
on
of
him
what the
more.
Warriors
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
where they saved the lineup or death for the perfect time. Giannis, the last 8 minutes of every game, he would be at center.
I still don't think to be a 54-win team. I mean,
Milwaukee?
we had this conversation on a pod before.
What they win now?
44.
You don't think Brad Stevens were 10 wins
I think they could be a 50-win team, maybe.
Yeah, 50, not 54.
in the East?
Yeah.
I think Brad Stevens is worth 10 wins to any team,
The
45
team still
and
needs
under.
personnel changes. Like, it's more than just the coach.
I guess
Like,
like
the coach would help, but it's not like the end solution.
That team has good players.
They do have some good players. Some good players who've also
The
declined.
team has the sixth best player in the league.
For sure. And Chris Middleton's not the same defensive player he was before. Jabari
Chris
Parker's not
Middleton.
been the same since he got back. Malcolm
That's true.
Brogdon missed a lot of games.
True.
They've had injuries,
Bledsoe.
guys in and out. Bledsoe up and down. They need some personnel changes in addition to a coach.
All right,
my
so
one
what
counter. My one counter is that Shane Larkin and various other people get major minutes for the Celtics.
Thank you, Jason. I was going to say, what do you think the Celtics record
I
would
hate
be if they
myself
had
for saying
Brad
that.
Stevens as the coach and Hayward missed the entire season and Kyrie missed 22 games and Smart missed like 35?
Wait, if Brad Stevens wasn't the coach, if it's like Joe Prunty?
No, I was being sarcastic. Like, look what he did with Boston.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't
Who was
expect
good
this?
on Boston?
Oh, for sure.
I'd be like, oh, they're 35 and 47, but they had a lot of injuries.
For sure, you'd expect them to be around 500.
So what do you think he's worth to Boston?
With those Celtics players, are we underrating a guy like Daniel Tice? Is that a testament to Danny Ainge finding a guy like him?
Every guy who leaves Boston becomes worse immediately.
For sure.
Who's gotten better?
Nobody. Not a single guy.
I'm like Fox News with Trump. With
Yeah, Bill's like looking
President
around
Stevens.
the room to make sure we all agree.
No, I'm not. You can disagree. I just think I think he's worth 10 wins. I think there's 3 coaches in the league that are worth 10 wins. Him, Spolstra,
Kevin Pelton.
and Kevin Pelton.
No, Kevin Pelton. Pelton had a recent column where he listed the teams, their projection versus with RPM and Pythagorean expectation versus like what they actually did, and Boston came out
The highest.
the highest that outperformed their expectation.
And Golden State was the lowest.
The lowest was Dallas. Minus 11.
Jesus.
So, I mean, I think somewhere in that difference is what Brad Stevens does. And I really I hate that he's that good.
It's
I think
unbelievable.
Popovich was like this for a long time. I'm not sure he's like that anymore. And I think Spolstra's worth 8 wins.
Spurs exceeded
7?
expectations too, though.
Yeah, they did.
Could anybody have expected them to win 47 games
That roster is bad.
with this team?
Yeah.
And
With
Pop's
no
gonna
Kawhi?
he's gonna bring
Yeah.
his Rolodex of like shady European contacts. Like that's
Yes.
worth like another couple like wins in itself.
The counter. LaMarcus is like the 16th best player in the league. So they at least have a top 20 guy.
Yeah.
Murray has been really good
Especially on defense.
on defense. They have a lot of role guys who know what they are and know what to do. They shoot threes okay. And they have the veterans that have kind of been there before and done that. The infrastructure in place. I don't know.
Guys who just know how to play the game.
It's just,
they know where
it's
to
like a
be.
Belichick thing. It's like after a while, you just bring Kyle Van Noy and all of a sudden he's your middle linebacker.
I semi-agree with that, but like a lot of these players are limited in noticeable ways. Pau Gasol is a one-way guy. Rudy, like there's a lot of holes in this lineup with these players, and the fact that Pop has managed to get them to play the way they have is pretty
47 and
remarkable.
35.
Yeah, I mean,
So should they have gone 40 and 42 with a normal coach? What's the guy's name in Milwaukee?
Joe
Joe
Prunty.
Prunty.
Joe Prunty.
These guys are running gag on the Ring NBA show for no other reason than nobody can remember.
Joe Prunty.
He was supposed to be the national
Shouts to you,
coach.
Joe Prunty.
National coach for Great Britain.
Yeah, he's Milan's coach.
A basketball powerhouse, as we all know, Great Britain.
I remember that one Great Britain team in 16, I think. It's pretty great. Yeah, Joe Prunty for the Spurs.
Oh, they would be appreciably worse. Yeah,
35 and 47.
definitely. I mean, Pau Gasol is not only like one of their top 4 or 5 like best players, but he's playing like how many games this season because he needs to sit so many.
Yeah.
Like half of these guys are washed.
Yeah.
And they're just breathing life back into them through nothing but the motion offense.
And
They're
they're
just
definitely-
constantly in motion, and that's why they're still doing things.
Spurs had a possession the other night where like they were just kicking the ball around the floor, driving the second they caught it. Like it was like the beautiful game. It looked like the Spurs in the finals with Manu. I think he drove for a dunk in the play that I'm remembering. It was like just a flashback.
Manu's 40.
It's crazy.
He's 40.
It's crazy.
Pau
Nephew
Gasol's
Kyle.
37.
True or false, there's a girl waiting for you in your apartment right now. We have to wrap this up. Thanks to ZipRecruiter. Don't forget to check out ZipRecruiter.com/ringer NBA. I gave the ZipRecruiter.com/BS code before. You can use either. Do what you want. We have a bunch of good stuff coming up on the Ringer. I am coming back with a playoff preview in the BS podcast overnight on Thursday. Brett Brown says Joel Embiid unlikely to return for game 1 of the postseason.
Not great.
I bet we see him.
Yeah, he's probably just messing with us.
He's like, Coach, tell them I'm unlikely. Let's come back. Justin, give us 3 things that are coming this next 2 days on the Ringer.
We have some best case, worst case capsules that you could check out on every team in the playoffs. You have Kevin O'Connor writing about one Ben Simmons.
I know that guy.
I've heard of him. He's a good writer. And we also have Jonathan Tjarks breaking down some of the best matchups.
Jason, playoff NBA desktop Friday.
Friday. Well, next week we go to a 2-a-week schedule. We're dropping them on Tuesday and Friday, and then
Yes.
This Friday was our preview, our playoff preview, which is mostly just about Tristan Thompson.
Haley, you want to rank your favorite Louisville players in the playoffs right now?
No, I
Mitchell
love all my
1,
sons the same.
Rozier 1, Dang 2, Mitchell 3.
I love all my sons the same.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay. Nephew Kai, you want to plug anything? Not a thing. He won't even turn his mic on. Thanks for listening. We're coming back on the Ringer NBA show on Friday with Draft Class.
Woo!
We're doing Draft Class this
We're
week?
recording tomorrow, actually, on Thursday. Gonna do
When
a
are you
day
going to start
early.
watching these dudes working out in Santa Monica High School and all these
I'm
weird
excited.
places?
Yeah. Guys rolling in soon.
Casey, you got to figure out what your scout outfit's going to be.
Yeah, no. Need to get some new clothes.
Yeah, like don't wear like a raincoat or anything. Like try to just pretend you're like almost like a kid at the high school, but you're actually like taking notes. And,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
Scouting
That's where
out-
Santa Monica High School is where I saw Embiid
scouting
work
out
out.
size.
It was the greatest workout I've ever seen. I've only seen like 3 workouts. Left it, immediately vowed on my podcast he was going to be the number 1 pick. And he got hurt like a week later and magically fell 2 spots to Philadelphia.
What was the
And now
worst one
they're
you saw?
favored to win the East. I don't know. That might have been the only one I've seen. That's why it was the best
That's a
workout I've
good
ever
one.
seen. Yeah. Thanks for listening. We will be back on Friday on this feed with Draft Class. Until then.
Basketball is very good.